Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to talk to you about a warning regarding Palantir. I never thought I would be making this video, but this channel is all about the transparency, and whenever I'm bullish about something I'm going to tell you. Whenever I'm bearish about something I'm going to tell you. So in this video, we have to have an honest talk about Palantir. Please make sure that you're subscribed. I want to give a shout out to the 20 people or so, maybe it's more now, who support the channel via channel memberships. You guys are amazing. And if you're watching this and you feel like you get value out of this video, please consider supporting the channel. The links are in the description box below. So why the heck do we need to talk about Palantir? It is because my spider senses have been going off on Palantir for many reasons. And that's what I'm going to be discussing on this video. I'm going to be discussing if you should be selling, you should be buying, what you should be doing. Yeah, we're going to take a deep dive into the valuation. There's going to be some disclosures. But first of all, Palantir was accepted in the S&P 500 last Friday. The price has since soared to $35. We closed a little bit below, but we were over $35 during the day. And it's a stock that I started buying 2 years ago. My average is about 8 something. So I am almost 400% up or 300% up on the shares. I have 8,100, a little bit more than 8,100 shares. And full disclosure, I sold covered calls on the Japanese carry trade when that happened here, because I have a little bit of margin on my portfolio. Okay, I have a lot of margin currently because of a F-up that I made. And to protect my overall portfolio, I had to sell covered calls here at $24 strike price. And those covered calls are severely underwater, and I have a choice to let my shares go or roll up the covered calls. They are March 2025 covered calls. And spoiler alert, I'm going to be rolling up that position, and even if I have to pay to get out of it, I'm going to do it because I want to keep my shares. So why am I making this video? I'm making this video because there's this famous saying by Warren Buffett that be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. And Palantir is one of those insane retail wins when, retail was ahead of Wall Street. Despite everybody calling us idiots, dumb money, there was, certain YouTube channels who were not hating on me, but they were hating on people who were supporting Palantir. And that was the scene when I started buying the company, right? And at that time, we had a thesis. The growth of the company was slowing down. We went all the way down to something like 12%, 13%. I think that was their lowest growth. The company at that time had a very bad go-to-market strategy. They didn't really know what they were doing, and the stock price was very low. The SBC stock-based compensation was very, very high. And our thesis was that this company is going to return back to growth, that they have a fantastic product. And as opposed to Snowflake, which was a fantastic sales organization with a very bad product, we thought that Palantir's very good product, if they can just debug how they sell the product, that's way easier than having a fantastic sales organization like Snowflake and then having to come up with world-class product. And we ended up being correct. And Palantir fucking turned things around, and the growth went back to, we're still not back to 30%, but almost at 30%. The company changed the go-to-market strategy. They came out with new products. Stock-based compensation went down, and literally there is a new contract being announced for Palantir with new partnerships, or renewed partnerships, or new government organization. It's like you get like bored of it. It's going so good for this company. They are all over the news in CNBC. you know, it's hard to not hear the name Palantir when people are talking about AI, and it can again be both in mainstream media, or if you're listening to some like you know, financial podcasts like the All In podcast. So Palantir is really, really mainstream now. It's not the company that we invested into, and on Friday they joined the S&P 500, and I feel that if your thesis was like a checklist, you know, that this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. Like Friday, we checked off the last freaking thing on the checklist. And, you know, respect to management. Alex Karp is a fantastic CEO. The whole team, I see a lot of you guys on Twitter. You guys are amazing. And really the whole story, also the retail investors, it's I don't think there's going to be movies made about this, but it's a huge win, you know, that we all together pulled off. The community is amazing. But I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what's the next catalyst. And my fear is that we pulled a lot of gains forward from the future. And again, this channel is about the transparency. I would not be buying Palantir at this point. I am definitely not selling my shares. And I want to go a bit more deeper into this. But first, we need to celebrate. I wanted to just play this video that Alex Karp made. And again, Alex Karp is this weird guy. And this video was even too weird for me. At some points, you get to see his stomach because his shirt is too small. He speaks in, he swears at the end of the video. He uses very non-CEO words like tendies instead of money. And they're all very funny, but this is like the weirdest video, I must admit, that I've seen from Palantir. So let's watch this, and then I want to go into the nerdy details, and then we'll finish off the video. So let's go.
On Friday, Palantir was admitted to the S&P, which is an enormous, momentous occasion for every Palantirian. It is enormous because the way in which we built the company should have precluded membership to the most elite institution in economic life, the S&P 500. In order to be on the S&P 500, you have to be GAAP profitable, which is a financial way of saying you have to make real tendies, subtracting everything, after subtracting every form of remuneration that could possibly be included, including your well-deserved equity. And we did it. And how did we do it? We built the best products in the world. We started off in one area of the West, clandestine services. We migrated into the military, into spec ops, into U.S. commercial, and into commercial globally. And how did we do that? We built products, first PD, PG, then we built Apollo, then we built products for the spec ops, then we built Maven, then we built Foundry, then we built the ontology, and we then integrated that into AIP. All of these products were conceived and productized, and now are being platformized, meaning we are taking them and making them the base substrate of what enterprises do, i.e. using us instead of what sometimes could be described as a monster internally that prevents the use of the most important technologies of our lifetime, i.e. AI and large language models, as an end user. And these were conceived again and productized, in some cases, a decade before anyone else even thought that you would need them, much less that the whole enterprise would turn on a platform that actually could power AI and large language models. It's still radical to the point where people do not completely comprehend. They do not comprehend how we could have turned a switch and gone to GAAP profitability and gone from what adults, professional managers, and some analysts thought was a Frankenstein monster powered by a freak show leader, me, to a dynamic, clearly profitable company worthy of and admitted to the S&P 500. And we did it our way. While everyone is now running around talking about how they should build platforms, how you should try to get Palantirians, realizing that no credible institution in commercial life can really be built without Palantir or an ex-Palantirian. We had already begun this. At the DPO, we rejected professional management. People everywhere discussing how to build companies in a way that keeps the somewhat, if not toxic, often carcinogenic influence of people who've written PowerPoints out of your company. Palantir did this naturally. Our products reflect that, our culture reflects it, our revenue reflects it, our quality of revenue affects it, reflects it. And by the way, our investor class. People trying to use the term retail investor, which is another way of saying people courageous enough to invest their own money, otherwise known as tendies, in what they believe in. And look at the list of the people, our partners. I hate the term clients, but look at the list of people that use our product. The most important clandestine services, the most important special operators, the most important AI targeting work in the world, the most important allies, none of whom we're ashamed to support in private or in public. They rely on Palantir. Look at our list of commercial partners in and outside the U.S., but especially in the U.S., that use Palantir either at Foundry, the ontology, AIP, all the above, and are beginning, and in some cases are already using our platform as a platform. And then look at our structural advantage of having a company built around what you ought to build, not what you were told to build in some weird, otherwise called artistic program that's kind of academic and imposed upon you by people that have no skin on the game. We resisted that. We are going to continue to resist that, not just for our sake, but for the sake of our partners that rely on us. And in any case, everybody, all of you who are inside the company and around the world should celebrate that the rebels won. The rebels won on Friday. I don't know any other occasion like this where the rebels actually got inside the gate and helped the institutions transform themselves. And there's no better metaphor for that than being admitted to the S&P 500. And while it's maybe not the most important thing, I am really, really, really happy. Because we did this together, and the future belongs to us. So let's go attack, have some fun, and celebrate a momentous occasion. Thank you.
So really, again, this is, I hope you're not, the comment section on this video is going to be interesting. I'm curious how, because sometimes I feel people misunderstand my video. Again, this is a fan-fucking-tastic company, and this is definitely a moment to celebrate. But I feel that if you go on Twitter, for example, you see that Bank of America just came out with a $50 price target. I saw Amit wrote a love letter about the company. Everybody's talking about Palantir. It's mainstream now. And I get, honestly, the vibes of when Tesla was at 400. Now, I want to explain that I'm a very, very, very long-term investor. So I probably don't want to sell Palantir for at least like 20 years more. And it's not normal that you buy a stock in 2022 and that stock is 3 times as much in 2024. And yes, like some of that is because, Palantir was misunderstood. People thought that it was a consultancy company, not an AI company. But also at this point, it's undeniable that Palantir has pulled in the future. So meaning like we have taken valuation from the future. So there's 2 things that can happen to the stock price. One is that we are going to stagnate or go down until the time helps us catch up with the valuation. This is number 1. Or number 2 is that the growth rate accelerates to such an unbelievable level that even this valuation is too low, and we really go to 50 like Bank of America says. But remember that the higher the sentiment, the higher the expectations, the more unlikely it is to become a reality. So at this point, I would say that Palantir is basically priced to perfection. And if you're buying at this level, you're basically betting that a world-class company that is in the mainstream has just been accepted into the S&P 500. They have grown their growth rate from 13% back to 27%, very high growth rate. They grew their cash flow margin, I think it was like 37%, which is insane. I mean, how many companies do you know that have such high free cash flow margin? It's insane. And basically you're betting that they're going to be doing even better than this. And I would say that that's not a bet where the odds are in your favor. I'm not saying it cannot happen. I'm just saying that the odds are not in your favor. And again, to put this into numbers, so this is if you're a channel member or you support the channel on Patreon, you get access to this table and you can play with it and plug in your own numbers. You can see here my assumptions, the operating margin, how much dilution I count with. I basically come to this valuation that I'm going to show you with not a PE, but a multiple on the free cash flow. So it's similar to a PE, but it's not a multiple on the earnings, but it's a multiple on the free cash flow. And you can see that in 2025, I am thinking with a 3.5 billion revenue, which is a 27% increase from 2024, with a 35% free cash flow margin. And that would give me a price in 2025 of 27. So you can see already that we are at 35, how high the valuation has gotten, okay? But sometimes the valuation becomes better if you look way more into the future. So let's look into 2030. And if the company expands 27% for the next 5 years straight, which is a very, very, very tall order. Again, it might happen. Maybe Palantir is going to do 40% or 50%. I'm just saying that the odds are not in your favor. When we were buying the company at $8, people were thinking that it's never going to be more than 13%. And that was a very easy bet to make, okay? This bet that they are going to accelerate from 27% is a very iffy bet. And on top of it, remember, it's not enough that they are going to grow 30%. They have to maintain the 35% free cash flow margin. And that's also a very, very tall order. And even with this, I get a share price of $76 in 2030. And if I discount that back to a 15% return, I only get $30.67. So that means that the current market expectations are much higher than this. So let's say 30%. What do we get then? Then we get $36 with only a 15% return. Now, I don't like to invest when my upside is only 15% return per year. I'm much more like 20 and even higher. And that way we're back to the $27.39. So again, now we can play with what we need to do to make Palantir a good deal. Let's see if the growth is 35%. Yeah, that's when we get, so 35% the next 5 years straight. That's when we get to the current price. So if you're buying at the current price, you're betting that the company is going to over deliver on this. And I think that that is just a very, very tall order. So again, this channel, I try to be very, very transparent. I was very much saying that Palantir is a buy when the price was in the 20s, in the 15s, in the 16s, in the 8s. I mean, you can go back on the channel and see it. At this time, I'm giving a warning about this company. I think that we might possibly have years where the stock price is going to stagnate or it's going to pull back, because we did pull forward from the future. But again, I'm a very long-term investor. I'm definitely not selling. I'm going to roll up my cover calls, and as long as the stock is in this price, I'm going to do cover calls, and that's my way of trying to get capital out of the stock without actually selling the stock. And I think as the time goes by, the company's growth is going to catch up with the stock price, and then the stock price is going to start increasing again. But we do need a period of rest. Let me know in the comment section. I'm sure it's going to be wild in there. I'm sure I'm going to get hate comments. But let me know, what do you think? Am I way off, or do you think the same way I'm thinking? Are you selling? Are you buying? Spill it all out in the comment section, and let me know. And if you watch this, if you're still watching, you're amazing. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And if you want to, you can support the channel with the links in the description box below. And see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.